Hi, I'm Sandra Oberlies.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the next installment of our 3D printer project. In our last video, we assembled the X-axis. So we have our timing belt on there, and we have our stepper motor on parts 10 and 11, and we have our carriage for our hot end attached to the timing belt, right? But one of the things I should have done, and I neglected to do so, was that we should have put our rods onto the X-axis, which actually holds the two apart and keeps them steady. And so it's possible that when you did that, we might need to readjust the timing belt a little bit to make enough room so that these are pulled apart enough to fit in the rods. If you haven't done so yet, you might want to loosen your timing belt a little bit. And what we're going to do is I need you to put two LMU 66, these round bearings. You're going to put one in part 10 and one in part 11 in the little slots. Okay, I've already done that. So they're in there. And basically those are bearings that allow the rods, it'll slide up and down on the rod. Slide these into those end holes next to the stepper motor holes. It should be a tight fit, but you should be able to go pretty much all the way in, or maybe from the top and going down. You're going to slide the rod through that bearing and then push it all the way down so it connects to the bottom. In that slot and down. Spinning it sometimes helps a little bit to get it to go down. There we go. Okay. You're going to put it in the bottom hole again. Push it in as tight as you can so that it kind of holds it there. And then you're going to do the same on the other side. If you need to, you can drill with the 15/64 drill bit, just like you did in the holes for the part 10 and 11 for the rods, but make sure you don't do too wide. I accidentally used a 1/4 inch drill bit and it caused my holes to be too big. We need it to be stiff, all right? And basically the rods just fell all the way through instead of allowing it to slide up and down. This whole mechanism should slide easily up and down. Okay, so that was the end of the X-axis install that we didn't come to before. Now it's time to install the Y-axis. And in that one, we're going to take the bed and we're going to attach 3 more bearings to the bottom of the bed so that they will ride up and down on the rods. And then we're going to attach the rods to our frame. And then we're going to attach the timing belt so that the bed slides back and forth on the rods, okay? You're going to need your zip ties. And what we're going to do, we've got 3 little slots, 2 on one side, 1 on the other. We're going to start from the bottom, okay? And we're going to slide it so that there's smooth on one side, ribbed on the other. You're going to put the ribbed side towards the middle so that the connector is on the end, and push it down to the end, all the way in, and then back up on the bottom, basically on the bed side, so that that flattens out. You want this to ride flat because you want your bed to be flat. You don't want anything on there. So these little cutouts are specifically designed to hold the zip ties. So then you're going to take the zip tie and you're going to put it into that slot part way, just to make a casing there. Then you're going to take one of your bearings, the LM6UU bearings, and you're going to slide it in there. And it should, there's a little rounded out corner in the bottom of the bed there, 2 on one side, 1 on the other. And you're going to pull that zip tie tight as you can get it. Now right now I just kind of pulled a little bit and I got it tight, but this can still slide, all right? What you're going to do is you're going to actually grab it here and kind of pull again as best you can, whether you're using a scissors or another wrench or something, and you're going to pull that tight. You want to get it as tight as you possibly can so that this bearing doesn't have any give. Because when I did this the first time, I didn't get it tight enough, and so when I put it onto the bed, the bearings just kind of slid out from the twist tie, and the whole bed was lopsided. All right. It needs to be absolutely tight. And so use whatever pulling method you can. Usually when I do this tight enough, it actually breaks it off there, which is fine because you're going to have to cut it off if it doesn't break off. But basically get it as tight as you possibly can. Pull, 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 and get that tight, okay? Then you're going to do the same thing on the other two holes with the other two zip ties, okay? So the rib side goes towards the center. Put it in that slot so that it's flat. Start the loop. And you can kind of hear it click as you get it part way in. And take your tabs. Now this one, the rounded slot, it's wide. So both bearings fit in there with a little gap in between. If you don't get this one tight enough, they'll slide back and forth and slide right out from underneath that. There's also a little edge right here on the one end where it holds it into place. So you're going to put that in there. Again, you're going to get it as tight as you possibly can get it. Okay, and mine just broke off again because you want it tight. Click it as many times as you can so it won't click anymore. Now mine is rotating in there, which means it's probably, see, notice I can push that in there, which means that's not tight enough. I'm going to click it and kind of pull towards that thing to kind of get those ribs to go click one more click. And if it breaks, you can always put another one on, but you don't want it to be able to move. And mine is moving, although it's kind of stiff. So maybe it's tight enough. I'll go ahead and I'll do the other one. And if I have to redo this one, I will. You can hand pull it tight with just your fingers, but then you've got to use a pair of pliers or a zip tie tightener to get it the rest of the way tight. So hopefully those are tight enough. I think I can still move them, so they're probably not. But get them as tight as you possibly can. Once you've got them tight, we've got our bed here, okay? We're going to take our long 200 millimeter M6 rods, and we're going to start by sliding it in to the two slots on our frame. Okay, and they should slide in. You're going to get it part way in, and then you're going to take your bed and the two, okay, notice we've got this little, on the bottom of the bed, on the same side with the two, there's a little lip underneath there with a slot. That slot is where the timing belt goes. So that one goes on the side, basically where the step, on the side with the stepper motors. So you're going to slide this from here onto those two bearings on the one side and the one bearing on the other. And you might need to flip it upside down. I'm going to slide this up to the top because it's kind of in my way right now. I'll slide it on its side, put this on its bearings. One side on. There we go. There we go. Okay, and then you're going to attach that and lock it into the ridge on the back side. Now, on the stepper motor side, we have a screw running in that slot, so this rail is going to stick out part way. On the other side, it should lie flush with both ends of the frame. Okay, so I've got this one flush on both sides. This one sticks out a little bit on the front because we've got the screw inside that ridge there. The bed slides back and forth on there. And now it's time to insert the timing belt. And this one's a little bit hard to get done. It's rather awkward. What you're going to do, okay, we're going to flip it upside down here, or actually kind of on its side. Okay, we're going to put the timing belt, I don't know if you can see it, we need to put the timing belt onto the timing belt gear, so it's kind of underneath the bed. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of loop it so that it goes on that timing belt, and you want the ends to be up because they're going to attach to the bottom of the bed. So I've got it kind of through here, and I can kind of pull back and forth and it turns that gear. Okay, then I'm going to take the other side and I'm going to loop it underneath the other timing belt gear on my tensioner there, and I'm going to kind of pull, so now I can kind of do that. And now I've got to get this timing belt connected on the bottom side of my bed. Okay? So, it's similar to the way we did the x-axis. On the x-axis, we had the 2 pins and we had to loop it over and around, okay? On the bottom of the bed, it's similar, but we just have a slot like that, okay? Actually, it's a slot, okay? And so the timing belt is going to come through here. It's going to loop around and come back out like this. Come through here, loop around, come back out. It's not going to go all the way, okay? It's just the ends there. And we're going to take a little piece of filament and we're going to jam it in between the teeth right here to kind of make that too thick so that it can't get back out. So that we've got the wider space there for the loop. And this is kind of awkward because it's hard to get that in there. So you're going to get the first one in, and you're going to need a pair of long nose pliers here. You're going to need a pair of long nose pliers, and you're going to want to turn this kind of on its side. You're going to be moving the bed back and forth as you get to it, just to make room because we've got all of these other parts that are in the way. So I think I'm going to start on this side. You're going to fold it over and make a loop. You're going to slide it into the slot on the bottom of that bed. And kind of give yourself some room. You're going to insert a little piece of filament in that little loop. You might need to do that before you slide it in the hole there. And you want to make sure that you get the teeth lined up straight and that the timing belt fold over is even with itself. We don't want it to be twisted because that'll make our whole timing belt twist. Okay? Once you get both of them in there, you're going to pull it tight so that it takes up roughly just half the space in this groove here. Okay? Because now we've got to get the other side in that same groove and get a little piece of filament stuck in there as well. And again, this is difficult and awkward. I have spent a couple of hours doing it and couldn't get it at all, and then I tried again and it works just fine. So I'm going to hold it with my pliers and I'm going to insert a little piece of filament just to hold it there. And at this point my tensioner is kind of loose, and I'm going to kind of use my thumb and my pliers and cram it in there, fold it over. And again, this bed moves back and forth, so find a spot so that you can reach and see everything you need to see. I'm going to see if I can get it part way into that slot. Okay, so I got it part way in there. I'm going to insert the filament and then get it the rest of the way in there. Basically, the filament is just making it fat so that it can't pull out once the timing belt is in there. I just pushed my timing belt all the rest of the way in there. Pull it this way to make more space. Okay, got it part way in there. Now I slide it in, and as I push that filament in, it kind of helped push the timing belt into that slot the rest of the way. I'm going to kind of push on it and pull on it with my pliers here to make sure it's set in there really tight. And then I can increase the tensioner belt using the screw there to pull the tensioner back out this way so it tightens the belt. And I will do that a little bit later. And the bed should now ride. I got to move this out of the way again. The bed should now ride back and forth on that timing belt, and when you do that, the timing belt moves back and forth. All right, good job, and I will see you in the next one.